Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Trust TV. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Now, the current state of affairs in Nigeria is leaving much to be desired with the widespread insecurity across the country. The ongoing economic hardship means that millions of Nigerians are unsatisfied with the status quo. The recent kidnapping, of over 280 school children in Kuriga community of Chikun local government area in Kaduna State and the subsequent release of over 137 of them highlights the ever-growing challenge of insecurity, especially in northern Nigeria. This past week, Nasarawa State was at the center of a disturbing development where 2 university students died during a food aid distribution that was planned by the Nasarawa State government. In another and similar development in Bauchi State, 4 persons were reportedly confirmed dead in a similar circumstance while waiting for food aid, signposting the already dire living conditions of millions of Nigerians. As focus shifts on the endemic insecurity and poor living conditions across the country, tonight on the program we delve into the structural issues that have plagued Nigeria and Nigerians as a country. Joining us tonight on the program is Ahmed Sajo, a public affairs analyst that will help us navigate and, of course, interrogate some of the issues. Of course, you will get to be a part of the conversation because we'll give you an opportunity to add your voice, your thoughts, your opinions, your views, as well as your questions if you have any regarding the conversation tonight. Ahmed Sajo, as always, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. A very loaded package.
Right, exactly.
I don't know how we go about it, but
yeah,
it's very loaded.
We'll try as much as we can to, navigate all the issues with the limited time we have. Let's start with Kaduna, because for all the wrong reasons, Kaduna has been in the news over the past couple of months. Several attacks. I mean, since last year, the unfortunate bombing and subsequent developments. But one particular common denominator is the insecurity in Kaduna State. Give me your take on what you make of the developments over the past 2 weeks. The kidnappings of the children, the subsequent kidnappings that happened in Kajuru and other parts of Kaduna, and what appears to be this, impunity that the bandits seem to be operating.
No, I think if you narrow it to Kaduna, you're not being very fair and faithful. And I want to tell you one thing, that the Northwest, the entire Northwest, has large swaths of ungoverned spaces, which is very dangerous.
What do you mean ungoverned spaces?
Ungoverned spaces, spaces that are actually not, we cannot say they are in the hands of bandits, but they are also not, they do not have very effective government presence in them. And they are under siege. We recently had a validation dialogue on the situation in the Northwest with community leaders, religious leaders, and some citizens being brought from the 7 states of the Northwest. And we sat down and we looked at a research done on the security situation. And what came out very clearly is that there are ungoverned spaces. I mean, a large community where bandits have taken over schools and they've taken over primary healthcare centers. Those were the only symbols of government.
Is it not fair to say neglected locations instead of ungoverned? Because no territory in Nigeria, is
I'm not saying
independent
not in
of
the hands of the government, but I'm saying it's ungoverned.
Or neglected. I think neglected is
have a disconnect completely.
I think neglected is a fair description of it.
It's not a question of neglect. You see, let's use terminologies correctly. They are ungoverned. If government is interested,
I think they're neglected.
Government should walk in there and take charge of those territories. Those territories, including the bushes around them, are under the control of the bandits. But there are reports we got.
Pardon the interruption. Just so we can make progress on this particular notion. Yeah. We saw what happened in Tudumbiri, for instance, when that bombing happened. Right? The military drones made it to that space, targeting what they thought were terrorists. Unfortunately, we now know that there were so many innocent residents who were locals in that area. So it is not fair to say Tudumbiri is ungoverned. However, when the cameras, when the media went there, when the government eventually went there because of the devastation, we realized that it was all neglect because the basic amenities
you do not
are not
understand what we are talking about.
Right.
There are communities in this country that are totally under siege. We have reports. I'm not talking about my opinion. I'm not talking about your own opinion in your comfort zone in Abuja. I'm talking about what communities told us, that bandits will determine what percentage of your agricultural produce that you have harvested should belong to you and should belong to them. We're talking about communities where bandits will put on their AK-47 and come to the market and meet you selling whatever you are selling and tell you we want this and this and this, and they pick it and they don't pay. The one that made some of us shed tears was that bandits will come to your house and ask to go and sleep with your wife or daughter, and you cannot say no. It's a terrible situation. So we are talking about, yes, kidnap of school children is very terrible, but we have to also consider communities that are under siege. When a community is under siege, when the bandits control those communities, like there's one community in Sokoto State that they said when the bandit invaded their community, for 1.5 hours there was no response.
There are so many communities like that across different parts of the country.
So when a space, is left so ungoverned to the extent that all government presence is absent, the criminals that parade those places take over and control the lives of people. We need to bridge these ungoverned spaces. We need to have total control of the country, every inch of this country. Nobody who carries arms. Now that the children were abducted, and some of them have now been rescued. This is a welcome development.
I think is the word that has been used so far. Released.
The military said they're rescued. The military, the defense headquarters said they rescued them.
I think the word that has been making rounds. There are several rescue efforts that have been made recently. The Sokoto students were rescued. The Katsina students were also rescued. But the Kuriga students, we understand, were released.
There was a community also in Zamfara State where the community gathered money and ransomed their people. So what is in effect is that, and this is where I really want us to focus on. We're missing it with all this isolating it, Kaduna, this, that. We're missing the whole setup. I have this feeling, and that's my own postulation, that the evil forces that are operating in all parts of northern Nigeria have a nexus. They are not operating in silos. The mistake we are making is that we think there are different groups operating in different locations.
You think everything that's going on is well coordinated?
Is coordinated.
To what end? To what end? And where's the evidence to show that?
With even specialization and role definition. And I will tell you, let's take the oldest of all the crises in northern Nigeria, which is Boko Haram. Boko Haram is a culmination of a series of activities, which if you don't know, you would think are isolated activities. Now, in the 80s, there was a Maitazine riot in Kano. And Maitazine was dislodged by the military. But when Maitazine was dislodged, elements of Maitazine dispersed. They went and set up shop in certain locations. One group set up shop in the north central, around Niger State of today. One group went to Yola, around Jimeta. One group went to Maiduguri, around Bulunkutu. One group went to Gombe, around Jekadafari. Now, the one in North Central did not rise, so people are overlooking that one. But the one in Jimeta rose, as under one Musa Makaniki, and they were crushed. Another one rose in Bulunkutu, Maiduguri, if you remember. It was crushed. Another one rose in Jekadafari in Gombe. It was crushed. When they were crushed, they did not just die. The remnants again moved to a place called Kanama in present-day Yusufari local government in Yobe State. And from there, they established what they called the Nigerian Taliban. The Nigerian Taliban was the one that, the leader of the Nigerian Taliban, Muhammad Ali, was the one that initiated Muhammad Yusuf. And they were the ones that started this attack on police formations and government offices. When they were dislodged, Muhammad Yusuf went on exile to Saudi Arabia. And from Saudi Arabia, he touched base to Kuwait, Syria, Jordan, and all those places. And then when he came back and set up a mosque in Maiduguri, he started preaching, Then the Boko Haram rose. When Muhammad Yusuf was killed, Boko Haram split into 3 groups. To the outsider, there were still one Boko Haram. But to those with knowledge, there were 3. One group wanted bloodline to determine the person that would take over from Muhammad Yusuf. I'll bring it to the present. Don't worry. One group wanted the bloodline of Muhammad Yusuf to inherit him, his son. One group wanted the hierarchy, which is the Shekau group, who became dominant. One group, did not disagree with the 2 groups. And they moved. They are the ones that formed Ansaru. And Ansaru is essentially made up of, leadership of Ansaru is made up of people within Niger-Kogi axis. So they came and set up shop in the North Central. Now, after the group that was defeated by Shekau went to ISIS, and ISIS gave them one condition. If you want us to support you, set up a province for us in your place. So they set up Islamic State of West Africa Province, ISWAP. Now, this is the origin of most of the crises that we are witnessing. But over time, bandits, began to collaborate with some backers in our cities, some powerful persons here. And they realized that they could make money out of this banditry. And they make huge money.
You say like these chaos merchants, as some security experts would like to call them, are well known in society.
Conflict merchants, yes. Yeah. Yes.
What does that then say about our government at federal and at state level?
I'm coming. Let me just link it up.
Right.
Now, when they all became like this, they began to specialize. Now, the Boko Haram, as the oldest terror group we have in this country, became experts in weapon handling. Aside from their own role as terrorizing citizens, they began to lend themselves as trainers to other social miscreants across. Now, the bandits who used to just rustle cattle realized that there will be more money in kidnapping for ransom than rustling cattle, because cattle are difficult to herd along and difficult to sell. Some of these owners of the cattle identify their cattle at the cattle market. So it was just a risky, worthless venture. But one person, you rescue the person, you get a lot of money. Now, what do? When they get this money, they also use it to import arms and ammunition. But because they have powerful backers, some of these backers probably have safe houses where they help them, or they help them launder the money, or they help them acquire arms. So there is a nexus. Those that acquire arms and ammunition, those that train on weapon handling, those that mobilize funds through kidnapping, and there is even a suspicion that there's a group of them that have become agents of vendetta. If you have a quarrel with somebody, you come to them.
They're mercenaries.
They're mercenaries.
Right.
So they are all connected. They are not operating in silos.
Okay.
So we are asking our security agents to also, synergize and address them uniformly, not in silos.
Yeah. Speaking of that synergy that you're talking about, let's have a listen to what the Commissioner of Police in Kaduna State regarding the release of those school children in Kuriga and how they're working together alongside many other security outfits in the country to bring about the enforcement of law and order.
We all are very happy and we appreciate all the effort of everyone who assisted in this. We did our part, all stakeholders did their part, and we appreciate everyone. We are happy about it. To the parents, to the community, we congratulate them as well, and we appeal to them that they should accept them, and these children need to be treated very well because of what they passed through, and they need to go back to school as well. Since the incident happened, the IG was here. He promised to deploy some special forces, special intervention squads, and he promised to deploy a unit of PMF, and they are already there in Kuriga. He promised 2 APCs, armored personnel carriers, and you all witness them. I think for the residents of Kaduna, we need to just reiterate that they have to assist the security agencies. It is only by cooperating with the security agencies that they will be able to help them. So, especially community leaders, especially people that are our major stakeholders, they should come closer, have our contacts, and be ready to assist us all the times.
All right, the Commissioner of Police in Kaduna State talking about that special forces, and 200 of them have actually been sent to Kaduna State and have already been presented to the governor, and they are going to work alongside the already established security personnel. They're of course part of the Nigeria Police Force, as you can see there in the pictures. They will be addressing the security gaps in those volatile areas in parts of Kaduna State that need some sort of security beef up in the aftermath of the very many attacks that we've seen in Kajuru, in Chikun, and in southern Kaduna, and many other parts of that state. Let me get your thoughts on these stopgap measures that we see every now and then. Whenever there is a crisis that demands urgent attention, we see these temporary measures, half measures being put in place to address it, but they don't look long-term. And as far as security is concerned, you need something long-term to guarantee safety and security of not just the people in the area, but we're talking about economic revitalization. There's no way our economy is going to, get back to the positive trajectory that we needed to without adequate security. So what are your thoughts about the way these security agencies are going about addressing the gaps within the system?
No, I think they're trying their best within their capacities, but we are under-policed, grossly under-policed. And even within this under-policing, we have a large number of policemen on VIP duties that you will see one political office holder moving around with about 10, 20 policemen or security men around him. And I think that reduces the availability of security men to police the rest of us citizens. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, I'm still talking about the synergy amongst the different security agencies. If they do not properly synergize, we will continue to witness what you call stopgap measures. First and foremost, we need the security agencies to put the entire country under surveillance, not necessarily one part of it. If you noticed, where did they recover the children
in Zamfara.
In Zamfara. It then means that we have a huge gap in the manner we secure our country. How could people carry students and drive with them on either on foot, on motorcycles, or on vehicles from Kaduna to Zamfara? I know the distance. You also know the distance. If you leave Huntua to go to Sokoto, you will get not less than 40 checkpoints on the road. You know, where are these people? Where do they follow to go? Why are we not, why is our entire space not under surveillance? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That these people know that they are seemingly ungoverned spaces. If you like, call them neglected, but they are ungoverned. They are seemingly ungoverned spaces where they can pass through very safely with whatever nonsense they've come to do, and nothing happens to them. We have witnessed it in the Northeast. Remember, we had checkpoints all over Adamawa then. But when Boko Haram wants to come and attack a community, that day you will not see one checkpoint. And they use the same road that you are supposed to. So we need to look at what really happens. How could people move for over 500 kilometers, undetected? It's definitely not acceptable.
Okay, let's talk about what many have described as a head scratcher following this particular revelation that 137 persons, comprising 76 females and 61 male, were rescued and will be handed over. There are some sort of discrepancies between what the Kaduna state government says in that statement released by the governor, who was all the more excited about this particular development. Initially, what we have is that the students were released. However, in the DHQ statement, the Defense Headquarters says that it rescued through a coordinated search and rescue operation conducted by the military in collaboration with local authorities and government agencies. And they stopped short of giving any further details because they went down the line to talk about the Sokoto State rescue, developments in Delta State, and so on and so forth. Which begs the question, what actually happened? Because in the aftermath of the kidnapping, the president was very stern and very clear about no negotiation with bandits and that these children should be returned unharmed. Many Nigerians are asking that while on one hand it's good to celebrate the return of the children, but we need answers. Nobody was killed, nobody was arrested. How then were these children either rescued or released? Whichever one you pick.
No, I think let us also ask ourselves some certain questions. Are these all the students that are in the hands of these people?
As far as the number goes, not really.
Not really. The way security operates is that certain information will not ordinarily be released. You must give that to security. Must not ordinarily be released until the operation is finally over. If they are still conducting the search and rescue, and if they are still trying to mop up other victims, it will be too hasty to start talking about the people that they have killed, the people that they have arrested, and the rest. The people they may have arrested are also helping in giving them information.
But it is a tradition with the military. I mean, so many times they've come out to the public to say they've made so-so arrests, they've made they've neutralized X amount of victims, they post those pictures on their social media pages, they release the pictures to the media.
I am telling you,
why is this different?
This is an ongoing operation. They've just rescued some, not all. And
but isn't that highly unlikely to rescue 137 people and there's no casualty whatsoever?
Like I told you, that is the aspect that they don't want to speak about for now.
To what end?
It may jeopardize their efforts. There are certain things they have to keep in the wraps until they're able to complete the assignment. The assignment has just started. This is just a success
You don't
face.
believe the public needs to know
Yeah, the public
whether ransom was paid or not?
the public needs to know. But what if no ransom was paid? This was just a pure act of intelligence, and the intelligence gathering is still ongoing. Yes. There are times...
You're saying essentially that it is possible for the military, alongside all these
other
assets,
security agencies,
right, to go in, rescue 137 of the students, right, unhurt, which is a good thing. And there's no collateral damage, there's no arrest.
You will not know. You will not know for now.
Because we always know when they make arrests. We always know when...
In the process, they capture one Abdullahi Ahmed. They will not mention that Abdullahi Ahmed is in our hands, because his collaborators in the studio who are recording us now would be able to hide. So they're waiting.
I think that example doesn't fly. But,
it flies. Now I'm the one telling you.
In Delta, for instance, last week, when unfortunately 16 of our good gallant men were gunned down and mutilated in that very horrific manner, a day after, the military, in its effort to get to the perpetrators, announced that some arrests have been made. They didn't go down to the details, but they did assure Nigerians that some arrests were made. However, in this particular case, it's just the number of children.
Of children that are released.
No guns were recovered, no AK-47, no ammunitions were recovered, just 137 are coming
That's the
home.
information they have decided to give you. You have to give it to them. As far as I'm concerned...
Do you think that helps, in light of all of the question marks that people have about the insecurity in this country?
What I am saying is that when you are in an operation, you do not disclose information till the end of the operation.
But there's nothing tactical about we've arrested A, B, and C.
There is.
How
you
so?
may not know, but they know.
So every time they come to public is because that information is immaterial? Is that what you're saying?
That information is still part of the intelligence processing process. Intelligence is not just gathered, but is processed. And the processing of information requires a lot of things. Look, let me tell you, we're just discussing with somebody this afternoon that, certain aspects of our security is put, it has been used for purposes of cheap publicity. And that we feel that is counterproductive. That publicity for a situation that requires intelligence gathering is in itself not in the interest of securing the citizens. There are information that should be on need to know at every point in time. And I'm not saying there are no questions. There are questions that need answers. But these questions may need answers at a later point, since we are still in the process of rescuing more of the people. And there are other victims. I'm not talking about, it's not only the children that, there are still other victims.
So many of them that we have obviously lost count. You can't, count them on the tip of your fingers. But of course, it is one particular issue that signposts the ever-changing landscape of insecurity in Nigeria, especially as it has become a new normal now for most communities who have to deal with these attacks and, disruption to their lives and their livelihood. We're just going to take a quick break. When we come back, there's a lot more that we're going to delve into, especially talking about the current living conditions in Nigeria, the developments in Nasarawa State, the developments in Bauchi State, plus everything else that is happening across the country with regards to how life is a lot more difficult now for most Nigerians, despite all the interventions from the state and the federal government. More on that after the break. Welcome back to the program. You're watching Sunday Politics on Trust TV. Here's a quick reminder, if you want to watch us on the go, you can join our Facebook and YouTube live streams, as well as follow us across our social media platforms to stay in touch with our contents that is readily available at the tip of your fingers by following us across all our social media platforms. The conversation is on the state of the nation. We're looking at security and the current economic hardship in the country. We've been dissecting some of the security developments, especially one that is related to the recent developments in Kaduna, where there's been an announcement of the release or rescue of 137 of the school children that were kidnapped just a little over a week ago in Kuriga. You can join the conversation if you want to. If you have something to add to the conversation, feel free to do that. Give us a call and be quick and articulate with your thoughts regarding what you have to say. This past week also, as we look at some of these developments around the state of affairs as far as the economy is concerned, take a look at some of the pictures from Nasarawa State, because it was a dark Friday where, you know, Nigerians were really not just disturbed by what happened, but at the scale of the problem. It was planned to be an initiative that's supposed to make life easier for students. I mean, you could say it started well, but at the end, 2 students were confirmed dead following a stampede, and you can see some of the pictures there, signposting the difficulty in the country and how it has crept into every nook and cranny of this great nation. Also in Bauchi State earlier this weekend, 4 persons reportedly lost their lives because of yet another stampede while trying to get their hands on some of these food items. Very disturbing pictures.
Yeah, very, very.
What do you make of it? I mean, this is like a war zone where you could be discussing food rationing and things like that.
We have agreed. This is where I want those of us in the media to now refocus our narrative. In fact, this is more disturbing than the one you were raising questions on. That when did we become a nation, a beggarly nation, a nation of palliative, a nation of food rations? We are not at war. And the more serious issues are buried. We're not discussing them. Look at the budget. Look at the budget very well. Just look at the budget. We have over 2 billion for distribution of deep freezers in certain constituencies. How can you give people who do not have electricity deep freezers? What are you trying to do? We share fertilizer to people who are not farmers. We share irrigation pumps to people who do not have water to drink. We put one borehole at 100 and something million in our budget, making fools of ourselves. The total amount that will provide 10 boreholes could provide sustainable water supply to a community. We don't think about that. We undergo medical outreaches in communities that have never seen hospitals with amount of money that could have built hospitals and primary health care centers and equipped them. We are not really working towards providing people opportunities.
Who is the we that you're talking about?
The leadership of this country.
Okay.
The leadership of this country. But with our acquiescence, we're not questioning those things adequately. We should ask that people should be given electricity. Provide opportunities. Do not provide palliative. If you provide opportunities for people to sustain themselves, it's far 100 times better than providing palliatives. Those that are giving palliatives, instead of giving food rations to people, go and we have large swath of land that is not used. Go and open large farms, and then use the harvest to support people. If that's what you mean, let somebody go into that farm and work for like 1 week, and then at the end of the day get something out of the harvest. Then people are becoming productive, the system is becoming more productive, and then we're getting what we want, and we're becoming self-reliant. But all this palliative, it further weakens the capacity of the people to stand on their feet. And that's the danger. That's number one. Number two, I want us to understand that...
Okay, just a moment. Okay. Let's get to the phone lines. It appears we have our first caller. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. Go ahead, please. Your name, please.
Good evening. Is that Trust TV?
Yes, this is Trust TV.
Thank you so much.
Just turn down the volume of the TV set, sir, for a moment.
I am trying to speak.
Okay.
Turn down the volume of the TV set, sir, for a moment. The man in the studio, I don't know your name. I've just tuned in, so I don't know your name.
It's
But the man has told us a lot of issues that I've never heard before. So I want to thank him so much for telling us the truth.
all right.
You see, the issue in Nasarawa, is it Nasarawa? The way the students died. I'm Mr. Solomon, calling from Zakiga, Benue State, anyway.
Okay, thank you so much for
You see,
speaking the name.
I don't know how this country has gone to this kind of level. I want to say the person who carried out that distribution in the first place must be dismissed from service for doing a very poor job. Because I know that when government officials begin to work like this, it's a kind of corruption. When you come and distribute palliatives like that, you don't know the quantity, you don't know the number of the bags or whatever. So when you distribute 1 million, you can say it's 10 million. So it's corruption. And that's the major reason why they do that kind of thing.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
I've been in the service for 35. I've been in the service for 35 years. I know what happens there.
Yeah.
When they begin to do like this, how can you just carry certain bags or rice or whatever and say you want to distribute to people? You don't know the number of people. You don't know who you are going to give to. So, I mean, that person should be dismissed first before we can talk about anything there.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. Really appreciate you for joining the conversation and adding your voice to the discourse tonight. Still looking at some of these horrific pictures, and you can obviously understand the push and pull factors.
Let me tell you where we failed in this kind of situation, including the whole palliative thing and the rest. We failed because we do not use statistics and data. You know, a school, students,
They're already stratified into departments, faculties.
Exactly. Yeah. They have records, they have stratifications, they have locations where you can meet them. What is it? Why would you go and line them up like he said? The whole thing is at the end result is that there is some corruption. Somebody doesn't want to account for what is given to him to dispense. And accountability is what we are running away from. That's why we always like, soft approach to issues. I distribute food, 100 bags. I can write any number. No auditor will come and say, where are the bags for me to count again? You don't audit such kind of things. You claim you have bought 2,000 refrigerators and shared, instead of 20,000. So there are a lot of... we don't use data and statistics. We actually want to encourage corruption.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. State your name and your location, please.
Yes, my name is Honorable Boko. I'm calling from Abakaliki, Ebonyi State.
Oh, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Go ahead, please.
Yes, we are treating symptoms and not the disease. Giving of palliatives is just a temporary measure. It cannot solve anything. What we need to do as a country is to go back to agriculture. All our children that do not get admission to tertiary institutions should go to colleges of agriculture. Be taught theory and practical of agriculture. Be established in syndicates. Let every local government have a local government farm. Let every state government have state government farm.
Exactly.
Then when you establish these people in syndicates of 10, then give them means of irrigation. Dig a borehole for them, a dry borehole, and settle them in acres of land. And then let them put what they have learned into practice. That's the only way we can fight hunger. It's not giving palliative. Palliative is a temporary measure. It doesn't help anybody. And it makes the people lazy. So let us go back to the farm. Let the government make it, declare emergency on hunger, and then take the people back to the farm. That's the only way.
Right.
And then declare major emergency on the bandits that have prevented people from going to their farms.
Right.
That is why we are suffering today.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much for your invaluable contribution. Really appreciate your thoughts on this one.
Did you hear what it is?
You did agree with some of the points.
Absolutely. Look at all our universities. Go to all our universities. The land area they have in those universities can produce enough food to feed those universities. What are they doing? Why are our local governments not having farms of their own? Why are our legislators constituency program collapse every constituency program, turn it to a productive venture, either agriculture or industrial hubs?
Right.
Let them produce industrial hubs. Let them produce agricultural farms. Let them do off-grid power supply to communities. Let us empower people. Let people have means of livelihood.
Why, in your view, is this outside the box thinking not something successive administrations have considered? I mean, we've seen them try to do it in their own way, whether it's NPower, whether it's SureP, whether it's all the different initiatives that have tried but have failed to really address the problem. Why do you think they're still going about it the same way?
One word: corruption. I told you now, in the budget, go. You can go online. The budget is online. Go to the budget. Find out how much they have budgeted for one borehole. I mean, we are all Nigerians. In spite of the current inflationary trend we are facing, the cost of one borehole in our budget can produce.
You talked about the constituency project. We're just looking at a figure in the aftermath of the Ningi allegations, the insertions, the constituency projects. You're saying that these interventions, the 280 billion naira, for instance, there are projects in federal constituencies, projects in senatorial districts, all of these things. There's a better way to target these resources
there are better ways. There are better ways. Better ways than, first and foremost, reducing our people to beggars. Secondly, providing them what they never use. I have been on the field. Anyone that is honest about what's happening on the field is that those items they buy, they distribute, are sold there, and then they have no connection with empowerment. I mean, I am living in a desert where it takes me, a long time to get a bucket of water to drink. You give me a water pumping machine for irrigation. What am I going to use it for? Where am I going to get the water to irrigate which land? We have to recalibrate even the way we think. And I'm telling you that let's open a farm. My constituency project is 500 million naira. I go and open a farm of 500 million naira and ask my constituent to come and work on this farm so that they can offtake the produce at the end of the day. First, I have made them productive. I've made them contributors in the development. And secondly, I've made the nation productive. And thirdly, I've provided sufficient food. Or I open a production hub, a tailoring outfit that produces, real fabrics and cloth for people to buy. Or those of us that are within a particular place, we collapse our constituency funds and use it to open an industry to provide something that.
Several communities have comparative advantage in different.
Take for example, I am not advertising, but take for example what Aminu Murtala Nyako has now done. Revived their yogurt making factory, and then decided to rely on Fulani herdsmen, settle them in locations, provide them water and other means of livelihood, and then buy their milk and go and process it. In that way, he had reduced
created a value chain.
He not just created a value chain, but they no longer move. They are no longer very nomadic, and so He had also solved the problem of farmer-header clashes, and they are sure of a market for their products. Why can't we be so this innovative? Open up factories, mini factories in our localities. Provide off-grid power. Some of these constituency projects, if you drop them in certain locations in this country, they'll provide off-grid power 24/7 for people in those constituencies. And then it's left for these people to decide what they are going to use the power to develop themselves. So all we should be moving towards is having a society that is not only productive, but is self-reliant.
Well, how do we square this cycle, especially considering how popular the palliative program is? Not just with the people in government who enjoy perhaps, the perks of coming to the rescue of their constituents, which they can leverage on election day, but also the people at the grassroots level. They ask for these palliatives. How do you, get rid of it if it's so popular?
No. I'm coming. You see, when you institute a Father Christmas democracy, people become like kids. I don't know, at your age now, do you believe in Father Christmas? Do you wait for Father Christmas to give you gifts?
I wouldn't mind, but I don't rely on it.
You don't even expect it. Yeah. You don't wait for it. But we have turned our democracy into a Father Christmas democracy. And we have turned our people into kids waiting for Father Christmas to bring gift. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I'm the one telling you that in Hausa we say mutua zuciya. I don't know the nearest real interpretation that could capture that. But I am telling you that it makes our people so complacent. It makes it kills their psychic. They don't think that they are capable of doing anything for themselves. And they become expectant of handouts. Anybody who is expectant of a handout is a dead person, spiritually. It's not physically. Even where they can help themselves, they don't want to go. Right. Please, we should begin to change the narrative.
Okay.
Ask people that, look, this palliative thing is actually killing our productive spirit.
Right, okay.
Making us dependent.
We're going to have to end it here. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I think there's a popular adage that many Nigerians can relate to, where they say, give someone a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to, catch a fish.
And feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly.
That is what we are not doing.
And I suppose that is what most Nigerians are waiting on the government to deliver as far as a solution to this socioeconomic crisis that also has a nexus with the growing insecurity across many parts of the country. Ahmed Sajo, as always, thank you very much for your invaluable contribution. Really appreciate the analysis this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Right, okay. And as always, thank you most kindly for joining the conversation. We appreciate your time and company. Sunday Politics will return next week, live and exclusive as always on Trust TV. Until then, my name is Abdullahi Ahmed. From myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next time.